Good morning. My name is Rose, and I am honored and grateful to be here with you this morning. And our topic is God present there where there is ignorance. And the answer is, oh yes. He is there, she is there. Because as the teachings of India, the teachings of yoga tell us, God didn't only create the universe, but he became it. So there is nothing here with us that is not of God. And even when we turn from him, and even if we forget him, he is ever there, waiting, present. All he desires, all that is not his, is the gift of our unconditional love. And so, how do we, because I know that here we are, and yes, we know God is in us, around us, with us. But how does that become our reality? Like it was for Yogananda when he saw the light of 1,000 suns. To me, this seems like such a huge distance to go, to have God be that real. But that is the reality that each of us will come to. For the great ones did not come to say how great they were, but how great you too can be. So how do we begin to become aware of that which is already ours? And we talk a lot on this path about the ego. And just to clarify what the ego means to me, the ego is the soul identified with the body. We're just getting a bit confused. We're just thinking, okay, I'm my thoughts, I'm my failures, I'm my success, I'm my body. And it's just so limited. That's all that ignorance is. It's misunderstanding. It's not understanding. That we're something, part of something so much bigger. And when we release that thought of limitation and separateness, then we can begin to live like the great ones. Yogananda said, I killed Yogananda long ago. No one dwells in this body now but God. How do we begin to truly do this? Baby steps, but sure steps. Swami said the way to find God is through meditation and seeing God as the doer. And I struggled with this concept for many years because if I didn't truly know what God was, how could I see him as the doer in my life? But the more it actually helped me going through Raja Yoga, because really all that the teachings come back to is that you already have what you seek. You already are what you seek. Now, the wave on the ocean does not say, I am the ocean. But when it dissolves back into the ocean, that is all that the water is. So if our little egos are the waves on the ocean of God, the little wave is not the ocean. That's all that we are. All that we come from is God. And so if we can think of God as the doer, as seeing all the energy that's coming through us, as not separate from the energy that is creating all things. It's in a way not taking ourselves so seriously or so importantly. It's trying to feel that the energy that's flowing through us is not only ours. Swami said even our thoughts are not only ours. We're tuning into existing consciousness. When we make mistakes, as everybody does, can we take it less personally? Yogananda said, never identify yourself with momentary flashes of error. So when we really screw up, can we say, I give it to you, Divine Mother. I'm doing my best. I have something to learn. I won't do it again, but I won't identify it. It's not who I am. When we are fantastic, give it to Divine Mother. We couldn't exist without her presence. That is the beginning of seeing God as the doer, and then the great ones personify it ever more deeply. But it's, the greatest sin of all is to call ourselves a sinner. Yogananda's in the very famous church, and a woman's talking about how everybody's a sinner and stand up if you're a sinner, and everybody stood up, and he just, he sat there. Because no, never. We are not identified with what keeps us separate from God. There's a story of this great sculptor who could have a block of anything and turn it into something exquisitely beautiful. And so someone was asking him, how do you do that? How from this block of nothing do you create this image of beauty? And he said, the image is already there. I just take away whatever is obscuring it. And so with us, God is already there, despite our ignorance, despite our strong determination to perhaps think otherwise at times. Just take it all away. It's not you. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. It's not you. How can that light shine forth ever more freely? I was thinking of the story of a sinner who became a saint. The story of a robber, Valmiki. And he was of the worst sort. So since you guys are pretty amazing, if you did a quarter of what Valmiki does, you'd be there. Because he was a robber in the wilderness, and he would come upon people, and he would kill them, and he would take their money. And he came upon a saint one day, which was his great good fortune, as is ours. And he came upon a saint one day, and he threatened his life to take the small things that this saint had. And the saint stopped him and looked at him and said, you must change. You cannot live like this anymore. And do you know what you will have to suffer for the karma that you are accruing from these actions? And he said, well, I do what I'm doing for my family. I must do this to feed my family. Isn't that like us? I'm doing what I'm doing, because I have to, right? I'm separating myself from love because really it's the right thing to do. Okay, reason can get tricky. But Valmiki reasons, no, it's the right thing to do that I'm behaving this way. And so the saint says, go to your family and ask them, will they share the karma you are getting from these bad actions? Will they take that on as well? So he goes and he asks his family, I'm doing all this terrible stuff for you. Therefore, you'll share my karma with me, right? No way. We're not going to take that karma on. So he goes to the saint and he realizes what he has done, and he's alone in this self-created darkness. And so the saint says, this is how we'll get through it. You will repeat the name of Rama endlessly. Rama, Rama, Rama. All day long, every day, your only thought, Rama. And Valmiki says, I can't say that name, sorry. And the saint says, okay, how about Mara? That's the god of death. Mara, Mara. Oh, okay, yeah, I can do that, right? So he starts where he is. Mara, 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 Rama, Rama. It's the same letters they change over and over again. Mara becomes the name of Rama. And he is transformed. Because they're not separate. Because if our intention is toward goodness, if we want to change, that's all that Spirit needs. That's all that God's creation and every atom of the universe needs to say, yes, I am with you. Even the worst of sinners, I want to change, but I can't yet say that name. Fine, do what you can do, and you will be transformed. Even within death and ignorance is the presence of God. I was thinking as I was giving the service of our Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda, and how the story about visiting Kashmir. And he was a warrior, and he was willpower personified. And so when he wanted to do something, he really wanted to do something. And it reminded me of things I have to learn in my life. Sometimes I'm so stubborn. No, I really want this. And this ignorant and Divine Mother is like, well, how about this beautiful thing I want to give you over here? Like, no, but I want what's best, and I really want this. So if we really are trying to do what's best, like Valmiki, we really are sincerely seeking the truth, but we're not quite sure how to get there. But we've asked God to guide our lives. He will. And in this story, it always brings it back to me so dearly. And so Master has a strong desire to go to the Himalayas, and it keeps getting thwarted. And finally, a couple times this trip to Kashmir, to the mountains, has been canceled. And he wants to plan again with his guru to go see these gorgeous mountains of Kashmir. And his father says, it's not going to happen. I doubt it's going to happen. And he goes, this time my guru will come, right? So he says to Sri Yukteswar, I have it all planned out. I have the tickets. I have a servant to watch the baggage. It's all ready. Will you come with me tomorrow to Kashmir? And Sri Yukteswar says, maybe, could happen. I don't know. Right? He says it much better than that. Maybe, could happen, not committing. And Yogananda says, well, my father can't prove me wrong on this one again. We have to make this one happen. And so he keeps preparing for it. And in the morning, Sri Yukteswar will not go. So Yogananda says, okay, I'm going to go anyway. Right? I'm going to go anyway. And he needs a servant, and he knows that the servant that is with Sri Yukteswar that would have come would not go without the guru. So he needs to find someone else to accompany them. So he goes to his guru and he says, I'm going to go anyway, and I'm going to ask my friend to come who's always wanted to go. And Sri Yukteswar says, I don't think he'll want to go today. And Yogananda goes to ask him if he wants to come, and he won't even look at Yogananda. And then he just walks away in the middle of Yogananda's sentence, and when Yogananda knocks on the door, the man says he slipped out the back door. He's no longer here, sorry. And it's so puzzling because this friend always wanted to go. So Yogananda says, okay, I'll ask my uncle, my sympathetic, caring friend, my uncle, for his servant to go. And Sri Yukteswar says, I don't think you'll enjoy that visit. But Yogananda goes anyway. And he asks his uncle. And his uncle greets him first with warmth and, oh, how are you, my nephew? What can I do for you? Oh, uncle, I'm going to Kashmir. Oh, is there anything that I can make your journey more comfortable? Yes, may I borrow your servant? And Yogananda writes, it's like an earthquake. He yells, no, how could you possibly? He comes to the ashram empty-handed. And he says, okay. And Sri Yukteswar says, wouldn't you like to stay here with me a while? And it's so touching because that's how God is with us. And sometimes it's so quiet we can barely hear it when he's guiding our lives. Wouldn't you like to just stay here with me a while? And, all the signs can be there, and we can still be, no, I gotta go. Wouldn't you like to stay here with me a while? So Yogananda does. He says, yes, Guru, I will not go without you. And just then, soon after, a terrible pain starts to fill Yogananda's body, and he becomes violently ill. And he crawls to his Guru, and he places his head in his lap. And he's come down with Asiatic cholera. And his Guru holds him and says, oh, my son, if you had been gone, I wouldn't be here to help you. And soon, through the grace of his Guru, the pain subsides, and he is healed. And how do we, as part of those baby steps towards the light of 1,000 suns, how do we begin to trust that everything that God gives us, as confusing as it might seem, is from his love? Everything the Guru whispers, wouldn't you like to stay with me? is from this boundless, unconditional love. And can we begin to trust that? Whether it seems like God is taking from us something we've always wanted, can we trust that that is love? When it seems that the road is dark and there's no way we can go forward, can we trust that He's holding our hand? In the story of footsteps, I know you all know it, but it touches me so much. The man is looking at his life. Once he has passed, he is looking with Christ down at his life, and he sees through the trail of his life 2 sets of footsteps, one of God's and one of his own, and they've walked together. And he says, but Lord, in the most challenging times, I'm alone. There's only 1 set of footsteps. And the Lord says, that's because I was carrying you. When can we learn to dissolve that sense of separation? To allow whatever comes to us as coming from the one that loves us most. And in this story, it's beautiful because all the sermons that we do come from the same place. So often in thinking about this service, I was thinking about the prodigal son. And he's kind of ignorant. He totally forgets. And he forgets where his joy comes from. And he wholeheartedly discovers and learns where it does not come from. And something that was touching me recently was that as soon as in his heart he decides to come back to the joy within, to come back to his home and God within, God responds. So God hasn't even seen him yet, but just in his heart, because God is the nearest of the near, the dearest of the dear. He is nearer than our nearest thoughts. So when that son decides, I want true joy, all the way back at home, God has already prepared the feast. He's running out to greet him. So when you decide, I'm ready, I want God's joy. Even if you don't know how to get there or the first step to take, God is already with you. He's already rushing out to greet you. He's nearer than your nearest thoughts. And that picture comes to mind. I'm not sure where it is. It might be the Sistine Chapel of God is reaching toward Adam like this. He's like full on, every ounce of him toward his son. And his son is reaching, but his finger is like this a little bit, right? So all he has to do to touch God is move this much, is put his attention there. And I think that might be how it is. He's always, all we have to do, he's like really ready. All we have to do is just a little bit more. Just reach up and know he's there. And if your self-created darkness obscures him further, don't be detoured. Know he's there. In the lines of Opal Flame, if thou wilt see opal flame, the light, drive darkness evermore. Whatever's obscuring your path, whatever seems that it's holding you back, don't let it fool you. It's not the truth. It's not the reality. You are not limited. You are children of the divine. He is rushing out to meet you. Will you remember him? And I wanted to close this morning with words by Yogananda. It fits us this morning. Prayer demand for removing the cork of ignorance. No more shall my consciousness remain bottled in this vial of flesh, corked with ignorance. No more will I remain moving through the sea of cosmic consciousness, night and day, years, incarnations, so close, yet without contacting the sea. Through bursting vibrations of cosmic sound and the surging of thy holy name, I have removed the cork of ignorance, which so long separated thee from me, though living so near. Now my consciousness within the body will meet the all-pervading consciousness without. No longer will I thoughtlessly walk in thee, knowing and feeling thee not. Thine image within shall meet thine image which is everywhere. By releasing the I-ness in me, I know that I am thou, and that it is thou who art the little egos of us all. God bless you.
Life is a dream, time like a stream, carries our burdens away. Never despair, joy is everywhere. Love can befriend you today. Free from all care, like birds on the air, soar above griefs and worries, seek joy and be gay. Often on earth, things of great worth, worldly ambitions defy. Sometimes a friend helps us all stand up from life's cares to the skies. Love is a star, though shining afar, it can guide